Everyone take a syllabus and pass it to the amigo behind you.
Hey, man, what the hell do you think you're doing? Yeah.
Mr. Cartmenes is here to make sure you all get into college.
Getting into college? Man, we ain't getting no college. Fuck you. Yeah, man.
How do I reach these kids? The reason that you think you can't get into college is because you haven't been taught how to cheat properly. How do you think white people always get ahead? Because we cheat all the time. I mean, because they cheat all the time. This is Bill Belichick, coach of the New England Patriots. He's won 3 Super Bowls. How? He cheated. He even got caught cheating, and nobody cared. Bill Belichick proved that in America it's okay to cheat as long as you cheat your way to the top.
Hey, I don't want to be called a cheater.
No. If you cheat and fail, you're a cheater. If you cheat and succeed, you're savvy.
This is bullshit. I don't want to waste my time learning to cheat.
Go ahead, the door's right there. Bye-bye, have fun. We will miss you. How do I reach these kids?
Ahoy, tent pirates, plant parents, conscious consumers, and the morbidly curious. Welcome to Cultivation Conversation, a podcast for growers, by growers. Come chat with our hosts, Captain Autoflower, the Real Green Monster, and myself, Girl Go Grow. Grab a bouquet of your favorite flowers, apparatus of choice, and don't forget the fire while I tell you about the special companies that help keep this ship afloat. We are busy people, and we demand the best for our plants, so all 3 of us automate our grows with autopots. Available in over 63 countries, gravity-powered autopot systems rely on no pumps, no timers, and no power to operate. This plant-driven automated watering is so precise, it will reduce consumption of feed while increasing yield. An effective and efficient way to delegate a little responsibility. Let your plants feed themselves. Use code CC10 at autopot-usa.com. If quality is the name of your game, look no further than AC Infinity. AC Infinity's grow tents, lights, accessories, and ventilation systems offer reliability and affordability along with total environmental control. Use code CULTIVATION on acinfinity.com to save even more. Frass Valley produces the highest quality superworm frass. Naturally strengthen your plants and enhance their resistance to pests and disease. Use code CC10 at frassvalley.com. We are big fans of mass hydroponics. Whether you're a local in Massachusetts or accessing their full online catalog, they are your one-stop shop for all of your growing needs. Use code CC10 at mass-hydro.com.
What is going on, everybody out there in podcast land? Howdy.
Hello, my darlings.
Howdy. Welcome back. Welcome new faces, familiar faces. Everybody, welcome to your favorite grower show, for growers, by growers. We're here to talk plants. Nothing but plants. All things plants. No, actually, we're here to just kind of fuck around and...
Whatever the fuck we want to talk about.
if we get to
Sometimes
plants,
that's plants.
we get to plants, you know. How's life, guys? What's going on?
Pretty good, man. How about you?
Fucking
You look
awesome.
chillaxing in that fucking robe.
Right, dude. Anytime I'm wearing the robe, I feel good.
Robe.
It's my...
Definitely fancy.
Yes. Thank you.
Does it give you like +5 confidence?
It sure does, G3, but unfortunately it gives me -5 memory, perhaps, because as I'm thinking about smoking a bong to start the show, I'm realizing I don't have any weed up here with me.
I was going to say,
right now.
what do you mean you don't
it's all
have
down
any
there.
weed?
It's all down there. And unfortunately, my wife is not downstairs to
Someone's taking a field trip.
fetch my
in a little bit.
requests. I know.
I
I know.
I think you're gonna have to take a field trip.
I am, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to just wait a minute.
All right.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to do that right now.
All right. We'll
Can you do a little intro for me? Just like carry the shit for a little bit, all right?
We're just going to talk
Steer
about
the
what
ship.
we're smoking until you get your ass back here.
I already have it ground up. I know exactly where it's at. BRB.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, I would leave and go get weed if I didn't have any handy. So
Right?
yeah,
Are you kidding me?
I
That
would
was just.
expect nothing less. What about you,
Even
G?
imagine.
What are you smoking on?
No. Take a wild guess.
Mango Smile.
Clever boy. Yep.
Gee, that was a tough one.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Super hard.
Now,
Everything else is just not show appropriate, really.
okay.
They're fine. They're just not as good as her.
Do you find yourself achieving the same effects each time you smoke it because you do smoke it so much?
I don't smoke it so much.
You only smoke it for the show?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. So I get the best out of her. So she's like special treat on Tuesdays.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless
Okay.
I'm like, if I have something that, so she's, I won't say only on Tuesday. There's like some emergency situations where I was like, this is a Mango Smile situation. We need to handle this. So yes, in that case. But yeah, mostly she's a show night kind of girl.
Okay.
Otherwise, I have other strange for other times.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I would love to smoke her all the time, but like, I just don't have that much of her. I mean, I have an entire tent of mangoes ready to die, so
Yeah.
So you
like that'll be happy. Then I'll have a brand new show strain. So
What do you mean ready to die?
Stay tuned.
You mean die or harvest?
Yeah, chop.
All right. Well, usually
Ready
you
to
don't-
be murdered.
I don't think I've
Ready
heard
to
you.
sacrifice themselves for the greater cause.
I don't think I've heard you refer to harvest that way before. Are you getting darker?
But ready to die.
Are we influencing you?
Well, I mean, to be
yeah,
real,
maybe a little
you
bit.
know, you are killing the plant. I remember like back in my first couple harvests, I felt super bad about it. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh, never.
really?
Nope.
Oh, I do feel
Never
bad about
felt
it every
any sort
single
of way
time.
about chopping.
Oh my god.
Never.
Every single
I didn't even have a second
time.
thought about it. Drop them bitches right
Yeah,
down.
I remember like
Psychopath.
I don't know. You get like attached to this life form. You know? It's like
Yes.
this
My girls have
beautiful
names.
thing.
I
Yeah,
often
yeah.
stand back and,
Personalities.
and admire their beauty before I chop them down. Does that count?
That's some like really sadistic shit, man.
Okay.
Tell them how
I
pretty
guess I
they
never thought
are
of it that way.
before you kill them.
Hey, baby, you looking mighty fine.
So beautiful. Are you
No,
ready to
you know,
die?
It's so it was like the first couple times, you know what I mean? Like beginner nerves, I guess. Just like
Okay.
not something you're used to. Like I'm not a killer, you know what I mean? I'm a lover, not a killer. And then you have to do the deed, and you're like, you know what? But like ultimately, the plant has fulfilled its mission.
Exactly.
Its purpose in life is to end up a smokable product in your jar.
Not as far as that plant is concerned, but that's another story.
Well, true.
Well, you
True.
keep it from its ultimate purpose, right? So it's secondary purpose.
That's right.
Your indicator is when THC is turning to CBN, they go amber.
You work
So
for
they're already
me
starting
now.
to degrade.
Now that I'm thinking about
That's
it,
the
we basically just like prevent them from fulfilling their life's purpose, their whole lives, and then we
And they don't even know
Yeah,
any
that's
better
why
until
some
the
of
bitter
them
end.
freak out and harm.
They don't know any better.
yeah.
Till the
We
bitter end.
must continue the species.
That's why you do get those random seeds sometimes, you know? I mean, it's in a tent full of ladies, life will find a way.
So, Cap, what are you smoking on?
Oh, well, now that I retrieved it, and thank you for
That
bearing
wasn't
with
that.
me.
That was dude. That was like a 13-second trip.
It's fast. You ran.
Yeah,
I
literally,
didn't time it,
ran.
but that was a guess.
I am doing my
I
headband
just spilled weed
crossed
all
with
over myself.
sour diesel tonight.
Mixing a
Nice.
salad, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, this headband sour diesel from Katsu is killer. I had 3 phenos, and they're all kind of similar. They have like structure-wise, it's nothing to write home about. You know what I mean? Like, and it's almost like deceptively so. You know, like I'll look at it and it's like, it's kind of fluffy looking. It doesn't have like the most amount of crystal coverage of all my bud. You know, it smells really nice in the jar. It's when you grind it up that the stuff shines, and it like,
I love that part.
it just like releases its true aromas, and then like, yeah, as you smoke it, it retains all of that, and like it really comes through on the exhale. So yeah, and I get a lot of really like lemony, bright lemony, but like also diesel. It is like, it is what it says it is, you know. Headband also is half sour diesel and half OG Kush, I believe, is the lineage on Headband. So this thing's like 3 parts sour diesel, 1 part OG Kush.
So shout out to You Enjoy My Dank, Massachusetts resident, fellow podcast listener. He sent me out a couple of cuts. Sent me out one called The Forest, which is East Coast sour diesel crossed with New York City sour diesel.
Dude, I saw that on whose page did I see it on? Like Mass Made?
Yeah, well, Mass Made has had the cut. This is his cut, apparently.
All right, word.
So, I'm really excited to try that. I'm guessing it. I haven't done a lot of research, but I'm guessing it's got to be at least a 10-weeker. All that diesel.
Oh yeah, man. Anything. Excuse me. One more. Anything with that diesel lineage is going to take a little bit longer.
Yep.
And I think, you know, that's why it's not a commercially viable kind of strain, you know. Just
no, nobody really ever grows it. And it
hard to
doesn't.
Keep
Go ahead, G3.
I was just going to say that all sativas in general are, compared to indicas or indica leaning strains, and they take a longer time. So, long run, it doesn't pay to grow them.
No, and it's kind of a lose because it doesn't have great bag appeal generally.
Yeah.
And the THC numbers aren't the highest. So it's just you just gotta really love gas and diesel and get that, you know, those terps and that effect from it. Like, I don't care what the THC number says, that shit gets you lit. You know, fucking
yeah.
It's hard to sell like low THC weed though. Like, it's usually low, like below 20, you know, or very low 20 from what I've seen. So
people in the dispensaries these days, they're looking for like above 30.
Yeah.
And nothing but. But like, I bet you that this stuff is more, it's probably a 20%er, 18%er. I bet you it's high on the terps, maybe like 3 or 4% terpenes. You know, I bet you that there's some obscure cannabinoids in it too, like THCV, THCA, THCQ. You know about that one?
Negative.
Makes you really quiet, I heard. Just like a monk, you don't talk for a few days.
Interesting.
No, I'm just making that up.
Okay.
But there's
I'm high enough to believe it.
THCV is super interesting though. I'm very interested in THCV.
Supposedly an appetite suppressant.
Correct.
Appetite suppressant, and it's like super high focus. They're trying to isolate it in a way to use it as like a
ADHD
natural
medication.
ADHD medication.
That's
Yeah. Isn't that super weird? Like, most you always think about weed giving you the munchies, but there is this cannabinoid that exists mostly in sativas, and I do think, if I'm not mistaken, like Durban poison has
yep.
The most amount of it that they found in like any land race, and they've done breeding projects to
That shit's
increase
not for
the
the faint
amount.
of heart either, man. It's appropriately named, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Durban poison?
it is. That's a crazy weed, man. Like it gets you racy and it gets you.
I can't smoke too much of it.
Gets you racy.
It's a lot of power. You got to be able to harness it correctly.
It's those intrusive thoughts, man. That's a funny. Now that I'm thinking about it, the lineage on cookies, right? Originally, the Girl Scout cookies was OG Kush and Durban poison.
Intrusive thoughts.
Intrusive thoughts bred into all of your cookies weed.
Here's what I think, okay? With a lot of those strains that are super high to sativas, you got really high THCVs, you got really high levels of terpinolene. That gives you a lot of like get up and go doing stuff. That energy has to go somewhere. If you're not moving and doing something with that, it's going to go into your head and you're just going to sit there churning in your own skull. So like if you have a high sativa, use the sativa properly. Get your ass outside and do something. Get your ass up and do something in your house. Don't just sit there and be unsupervised in your own brain.
Like I had a neighbor that had a meth addiction at one point, and we'd catch him out in the backyard at like 3 a.m. just digging holes. You know what I mean?
Gotta burn off the energy.
Yeah, be climbing trees and digging holes. And it was like the weirdest shit ever, but
like, man, you can't
gotta
do that.
Keep busy.
You're gonna call Dick safe first.
You don't give a toddler like a lollipop and then expect them to sit there and do nothing. Like they're gonna start bouncing off the walls. Be prepared.
Yeah, you gotta have something to do. When the intrusive thoughts pop in at 3 a.m. and you're all wound up, you gotta have a release.
Jesus Christ, you shouldn't be smoking a Durban poison at 3 a.m.
No, not unless you're
trying to first and
that's why variety,
the
spice of life.
Use the correct strain at the correct time of day, please, people.
So, amen to that.
You will thank yourself.
Guess what I'm smoking on?
Cherry Smash.
Nope.
Anaphylaxis.
Lemon Carver.
Lemon Cava.
Cava.
Prego.
Oh, all right. That's that prayer. Forget what it's called from Mass Medical.
So it's Prayer Tower Sativa by Bodhi and Gorilla Glue Floor Cut bred together.
Cool.
Definitely the best of both worlds, in my opinion, but it definitely leans more on the sativa side, and it is currently fucking me up right now.
Well, if we find you digging holes, we'll know what happened.
Yeah. I had a couple.
Try to keep you with us.
I take the live resin and put it into capsules. Eat those as edibles. How many milligrams? Couldn't tell you. I ate a couple of those too. I feel pretty good.
Enough.
Yeah.
Hell yeah! I had a gummy before the show. It's my, been living off those things, surviving on water and can of gummies.
I mean, gosh, you've got jars of them just sitting around you. How could you not?
It's one of the
like living in the Wonka's chocolate.
Yeah, it's like one of my food groups at this point. I hate to admit that.
I haven't made gummies in a long time, but they're dangerous, man. Because I love gummies, you know what I mean?
They're too easy to eat, yeah.
It's not good. Like, I have to keep my edibles in, like I said, the capsule form, or if I do keep, like, just THC like edibles. It's usually like chocolate because I'm not a huge chocolate guy, so I can just eat a couple pieces and leave it. But gummies, dude, like once you crack that bag, forget about it. Like it's gone.
No. Decoy bag. You have to have a decoy bag. Secondary bag with no THC in it. You know, get yourself a decent Haribo variety, and then you have all the gummies you want.
There you go.
You're not
Just
going to fuck up your entire day.
house a whole pound bag of twin snakes.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you guys ever heard of liquid karma? It's this drink edible. It's 1,000 milligrams. It's in like the size of like a 5-hour energy, right?
1,000
Yes,
milligrams.
but listen.
Oh, hell
Thousand-
yeah. Liquid
but listen.
karma.
1,000 milligrams.
Here's the kicker. With this shit.
Funny
Okay.
name.
It. I didn't believe it at first until I tried it, but it supposedly has like this nanotechnology that's able to hit you quicker. So a normal edible is going to take a while, right? Within like 10 to 15 minutes, this
20
shit hits
minutes usually with nanoemulsification. Yeah.
Unfucking real, right? So I'm not going to call him out because he might be listening and he's a friend of mine, but he drank the whole bottle and passed out within like half an hour. He was out for like 8 or 9 hours because he didn't realize it was 1,000 milligrams. The whole bottle.
Dude, that's a lot of edibles right there. I mean, shit.
Yeah. I couldn't handle it. No fucking way.
That's no longer an edible. That's tincture at that point. It feels like, or something. That's like
it's aptly
oh my
named.
gosh.
It's liquid karma. Like you know, if you're
1,000 milligrams.
that'll give you intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
That will give you no thoughts. Your brain will turn off.
No, seriously. People don't believe me.
Green out.
Believe me, just keep eating more. If you eat enough edibles or have enough RSO, you will like have hallucinations and weird thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
100%.
I mean, cannabis is like classified as a psychedelic, if I'm not mistaken.
Hallucinogenic, yeah.
As a
Wow, it's also
hallucinogenic ethnogen. Like it's a fucking
classified as a lot of things that make no sense. So,
dude, it will make you trip. I've 100%, you know, like certain, and they've all been sativa dominant varieties. I remember a trip I took out to Colorado and we like picked up some AK-47 at the dispensary. Oof. And it just took over me like, you know, a mushroom trip almost. And I like the colors were like extremely vivid, you know, just sensory overload, like walking around the forest. It was like a whole different experience. You know what I mean?
I've never achieved that effect smoking, only eating it. Personally.
Maybe it's, probably easier to achieve through edible just because you can like maximum dose, you know?
Yeah. I can tell you it wasn't fun. Like a mushroom trip or an acid trip, that's fun. This trip, like when you eat enough edibles and you're like having mild hallucinations and you like
it's not that fun.
No, it's not fun at all, man. It doesn't feel good. At least I don't like it, you know. And I love weed, man, but it's that when it gets to that point, it's I remember like a couple years ago somebody gave me RSO and it was thick and I fucking had a hard time getting it out. So he's like, "Oh, just heat it up a little bit, like, you know, with warm water and then squirt it." So I did, and I squirted like half the syringe in my mouth. He's like, "Dude, strap up, buddy. You're in for a long fucking ride." And
oh my god,
I was
that's like a good couple 100 milligrams.
Yeah, I was of RSO, and I was wrecked for like 12 hours. But even the next day, like I think for days I was still just like fucked up, like groggy, you know.
Well, it's like
but I was sick, so hey, I'll tell you this much: he gave it to me because I couldn't sleep because I kept coughing. He's like, "Dude, this will knock your cough out," and I didn't believe him, but dude,
fucking did. No wonder, because you were like dead to the world.
But here's the kicker: on top of it, I had a hard time falling asleep, even like after the cough went away, because every time I closed my eyes, that's when I would have like the mild hallucinations, and I was all fucked up. Like I was like, I just want this to go away. I just want to go to bed. Like now I can understand why people who have never done it, like they call 911 because they think they're dying.
Yeah. Like I'm freaking out.
It's not fun.
My heart's going way too fast.
Well, the difference between having too much THC and tripping on acid or mushrooms is that tripping on acid and mushrooms is intentional.
True.
And being near greening out or greening out is unintentional. Very
Greening
much
out,
unintentional.
I've never heard of that. But
Greening out. Yeah, it's a
if
good
you
term.
want to get some laughs, just look up like 911 edible calls. That's like
Oh my
unreal.
God.
Unreal.
I can't even imagine, dude.
Dude, it's funny. We had a couple of instances here in Boston where like kids were passing out edibles in schools, like, and dude, it was like the biggest thing. Like these parents are like, this could kill my child, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, if somebody's lacing the shit with fentanyl, but that's unlikely. They're just like weed
No,
edibles.
it's just
like
just a
little
little
Johnny or little Mary is
edible
gonna
karma.
be a little fucked up for a while. Probably go to sleep. Maybe you might like it. All right,
They did some study to
Haven't
find
talked
out
back to me
how
today.
much you'd have to take to like overdose.
A shit ton.
Something like you'd have to eat 1,500 pounds in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
What? So is that? I wonder if that's like flour G3, or is that like a concentrated?
I wonder what the
edible
THC
type.
milligram equivalent
Yeah.
of 1,500 pounds. is.
That's what I'm wondering, like THC equivalency wise, because here's the thing, like you were saying, Monster, like it's got to be easier just to achieve that, like that liquid karma, like I'm gonna go talk to God right now kind of dose, that we usually associate with mushrooms, but you can get there with enough weed. Yeah, like it's
I don't know if
way,
you can do it.
way easier if you just
if you couldn't smoke it.
drink
there.
a heavily concentrated, like that's got to be the only realistic way to achieve that dose, because I don't know anyone who could smoke enough flour.
Yeah, but you would
or
probably throw
enough
up
dabs
before you achieved that
to get
100%.
there.
Your body's just not big enough to hold that kind of content. I don't think it's possible. I'm gonna say that.
So
don't
weed's not
think
gonna
it's
kill
possible.
you.
No,
As never will.
never been one, weed related death when some moron did something stupid while he was high.
No, yeah, well, dude, wasn't there like that girl that like killed her boyfriend or something recently, and she was like super high, and
she said it was the weed he gave her.
Yeah, and the judge let her off because like weed's super dangerous, and it made her like psychotic
Where was
for
this,
a moment.
fucking Texas?
Where'd she get her fucking weed from?
From her boyfriend.
Where that was, man. I like it's like it's a current event news article, and it's been one of those like.
I can guarantee you there were people like, man, I wish I could get a hold of whatever she was smoking.
Those intrusive thoughts, man.
They say that like heroin addicts, when people like when their friends
kill your boyfriend,
drop dead from like dose and shit, they're like, oh man, I want to get some of that. I'm serious. That's
absolutely, dude. Like that's how junkies think for
dude,
sure.
It killed Billy. I gotta get some
there's
of
a
that shit,
really strong batch going around right now.
Sick fucks.
I don't know the mind of a junkie, man. I have to imagine like the closer that they get to death, the bigger a thrill it actually is.
Maybe.
But fuck, man.
I'll just stick with my weed.
Stick with my weed. Exactly. But yeah, so what I wanted to get into tonight, man, I got some plants that are ready to come down.
Okay.
So, I wanted to kind of discuss some of the things I've been doing over the last 2-3 weeks as my plants like mature. They are mature now, right? They've reached their final form. Buds are already buds are forming. They have formed. They're bulking up now. I guess this is the phase we would call it, right? From bulking
the giant
up
one in the corner.
finish.
The big one.
The big one on the left. That's the Cosmic Revival. The big colorful girl.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Thank
Those
you.
leaves are
Thank you very much.
You gonna pull her up for us?
Oh, if I can, yeah.
So we
Let
can
me see if I can real quick.
She's really so pretty.
What a slut.
And tall.
Very tall. Yeah, one of my better grows recently, I will say. So thank you. Where the hell is
what in the hell?
Where the hell did it go? All right, there it is. There it is. Okay. So yeah, they're on like day 74 right now.
Ooh, early.
Yeah,
down, kid? Like, at least-
absolutely early. I did not expect them to be so early. Here they are. Okay, let's get rid of this real quick. So yeah, those are my plants, my 3x3 right now, ready to come down.
Oh, so tall.
Yeah, the one on the left is the Cosmic Revival. That's like 4'5", 4'6", almost at the lights, almost at
Great
the top of
colors
my
on
little
that.
3x3. Oh yeah, dude, up close. Do I have the other picture? Here, took some really nice ones. Here you go. Check that out.
Oof.
Sweet.
My goodness.
Yeah,
she
it
looks like
faded
candy.
beautifully. You know what I mean? So, like, I have a feeling that, like, getting this type of color, this type of, situation going on at the end of my grow, like, has a little bit to do with the things that I do with my environment, like, as we progress through my plant's life cycle. Number one on that list is adjusting our VPD to a different, like, you still want to be in that middle range if you know your VPD chart. You know what I mean? I can bring that up right now. But like you want to lower your temperatures and also lower your humidity as you get to the end of the plant's life. I do that primarily by lowering my lights during the daytime. Like, I back off if I'm maybe, let's say my lights are at 100% during weeks like 6 through 9, then weeks like 10, 11, maybe 12, I'll turn those suckers down like, 25% each week. So by the end of my grows, my lights are on like 50% or less a lot of times.
Okay.
You guys do that at all?
No.
You don't
I
back your
don't,
lights
but
off at all?
I can understand why you do. It's definitely a big signal to the plant.
Here, I'll bring up
I wonder
Bring
if
this
you
up
do you
real
think you sacrifice any final weight?
Oh, I'm sure I do. I'm sure I
Because of
do.
that?
I'm not growing for biomass though. Like, that's never
Right.
been my objective whatsoever. Like, my goal is to get the best, like, expression from the plant, whether that be like terpene production, like color at the
Oh,
end
of
of the
course.
grow,
So, I'm a huge proponent of the
resin.
in-grow joy.
Won't they
I
fade
was
a
just
little bit
wondering if
anyway
there
if they
was.
start getting depleted? I mean, I can achieve that result, and I usually do when you just cut them off for food. The last 4 or 5 days, just water or whatever. They'll start fading pretty hard. And then even without it, sometimes I've had some shit. Even if you feed it to the end, they're just telling you they're done. They just finesse.
That's a great topic I want to get into, like flushing. Does that have to do with fading? All that stuff. But real quick, let's take a look at the differences between like the flower VPD chart and the veg VPD chart. Like, if you notice, the line just kind of changes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the green, like the middle area where you want to be, becomes a little bit wider at that like 72, kind of like 72 to 77 range, let's say. So I don't know, it's interesting. Like, your plants can perhaps transpire a little bit better in flower if your temps are lower. However you got to achieve that. Monster.
Did I say 72? Is there in the green?
No.
Is that what you said?
So, like, my goal for like early flowers is still like in the 80s. We're talking LED tents, you know what I mean? I'm talking at the very end, maybe a week left, 2 weeks left. That's when I start thinking a little bit about temperature. But you are right, Monster. This is like kind of a sidetrack. The real thing that brings out the color and the expression in the plants, in my opinion, is cutting off the nutrients. You know, we want to stop all feeding, in my opinion, at week, we're talking autos week 10. So 2 weeks with just nothing but water.
Yeah, I don't go that extreme personally, and I'm feeding with salts. Maybe in soil because
Yes, soil, you gotta.
there's something left over, and you like I I think flushing, people still kind of misunderstand it, like what you're really trying to achieve. Like Rasta Jeff has a great analogy. He's like, listen, if you eat a fucking Snickers bar and you consume that and swallow it, you can't just like drink a bunch of water and then get rid of the Snickers bar. It's still like in you, like you're flushing the medium, which then starves the plant. And then the plant is going to try to consume any reserves that it might have. But like, make no mistake about it. Like I've flushed, I've not flushed. I don't see any really major difference in the smoke. Um, I think people go a little ham by like not feeding for, like if you're growing in cocoa with salts, like 2 weeks is extreme. A week, that's cool. I usually only like go like 4 or 5 days because I'm trying to push it as hard as I can to the end. And that's
Word.
it. Yeah.
But so like you wouldn't do a flush in like the traditional sense of the word, where like you run extra water through your medium.
The only
To
time
try
I
to, like,
ever do that
flush
is
out
if I
the
have a problem.
leftover.
No,
Okay.
if I have an issue, I will do a flush from the top, and like you have to like really, really flush and make sure you're getting everything out. And that's only if there's an issue.
Word. And that's a cocoa grower, guys, a cocoa and salts grower who's, you don't flush.
No, I'll stop feeding and I'll give them, just pH water the last couple days.
But like, so you would reserve a flush for like, let's say, the rare case, if it ever actually happened, you like fucked up the pH or something of a feeding.
Yeah.
You gave them like way too much of something when you meant to give them something else.
Or even sometimes you don't even know where you went wrong. Sometimes you just maybe have like a fussy plant or something like that. And and anytime I see an issue like that, I don't care what it is, I'm gonna flush it because it can't hurt. Legit can't hurt to like clean out the
Word.
medium. And when I say flush, I'm not flushing with just water. I'm flushing with the nutrient solution I want it to have. So like you run through a shitload of that until you see a heavy amount of runoff, and then you just put it back in its base. Now, pro tip, if you're not a pot grower, turn off your reservoir before you take the pot out, because if you try to put it back in, it'll have more water and you'll kind of spill water on your tent.
Displacement.
And never water from the top if you're growing with salts using autopots. I have to repeat that because some people don't know. And if you decide to do a flush from the top, like I'm talking about, like I said, do a fucking flush.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're really getting a lot of that, a lot of runoff to get all the residual salts flushed out.
My gosh, it's so much. Like, flush a pot, especially if you have like a 5-gallon pot with residue salt on the top. I mean, that's like gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons of water. So much water.
Mm-hmm. If you do
I'm glad he said this. I can't forget Jeffy. He's I believe he's one of our Patreon supporters as well.
Mm-hmm.
Science has shown yet again that flushing is bro science unless you way overfeed them. 100% facts. 100% facts.
Overfed, or like, I guess along with that is like a lockout situation,
Yeah, and that can happen. Like look, I fuck around and find out. We were talking about on the last episode with drybacks. Sometimes you don't play your cards right.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to do a flush because I ran into an issue where like I said, I fucked around and found out. So
it's always like, it's, you got that card to pull if you have an issue. But like, as far as end of grow practices, like, yeah, that's not something I'm worried about. Like, and I don't think that affects, like, that's not going to affect smoke quality whatsoever.
No, it's all in the dry and the cure. All in the dry and the cure. And the other thing too is the reason why I stopped feeding the last couple of days, because in my opinion, the plant's not utilizing much of that at that point anyway. It's just finishing up, and whatever is left in the medium and the plant can get it through those 3 to 4 days, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, especially if you are an organics grower, there's already plenty of, like, there should be stuff all, like, I've found as an organic grower, like, the plant sometimes will fade just because it knows that it's like the end of its life. There's probably plenty of nutrients still in my medium a lot of times, like, I'm not doing any flushing. I'm still like actively feeding up until like sometimes week 10. And then I'll just like, they're fading before that. Like, it's
in
weird
certain situations
sometimes.
with soil too. If you do like a heavy flush, you're actually just releasing a ton of nutrients into the plant.
That's why an organic grower should never flush their medium, and that's why an organic grower should actually not even be running or watering until runoff. You know what I mean? Like, we want to keep all that stuff in there, all those organic compounds and minerals. Like, if that flushes out, like, those are your time release nutrients. You know what I mean? Like, they're already maybe 50% of the way to being released. So I don't know. Keep them in there.
If you think about it, at the end of your plant's life cycle, it stops uptaking water, right? It's one of the signs that your plant is close to the end of its life. In the last couple of weeks, it really starts to slow down.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I actually use that as one of my signs of
one of the best metrics to tell your plant's
so it's
ready.
Uptaking less water, so it's uptaking less nutrients. But the processes inside the plant are still going on, even though it's uptaking less. So where is it going to get the nutrients it needs from if it's taking less from the soil?
That's a great theory, yeah. So if it's not like transpiring as much or uptaking the water and releasing it through the leaves in this uptake of nutrients, it then has to kind of suck it from itself.
Has to take it from itself, which causes senescence.
You're so smart.
There's a drop near it grows.
Those things are definitely linked. They have to be, just like natural processes, Mm-hmm. It's so funny how, like, really, the plant, like, knows a lot of times when it's ready. You'll notice,
get cold,
stops drinking
up water, takes what it needs from its leaves, the leaves die off, the leaves drop because it's fall.
Leaves drop, it's fall. Think about all the things that happen in the fall. Think about all the things that like occur as the season develops, and we get further into that month of October, pretty much.
My favorite time of the year.
Yep.
Personally.
So yes, you're totally right with the light intensity getting less over time.
Turn your light down.
Intensity gets
like
less.
The sun gets less intense in during the end of the season, right? It's less further up in the sky. Okay. It's your humidity goes down because it gets colder at night, all that sort of stuff.
Could lengthen your dark period?
That absolutely, G3. Like, give it 13, 14 hours of dark for the last 2 weeks. If you're growing photos, of course.
I go the exact opposite mindset.
You give
he
it
wants
more?
to like bust it up.
See,
give it everything you got.
Monster, I think like that's a mindset of like, no, listen, don't get me wrong. Is that a mindset that like you're trying to get more biomass, or like what's your objective from that?
I mean, like at the end of the day, I want I mean, even if it's just like my personal grow, I want as much flower as I can get out of it. Like that's,
Okay.
you know,
I would consider doing it for the last week, I think. Maybe not the last 2 weeks,
Sure.
because an autoflower's life is very short.
Look,
But the
somebody
last
should do the
week,
tests,
sure
you know,
thing.
you got to really do it right, right? Like you have two small, like let's say 2x2 areas with a 150-watt light in each, same cut, you know, same autopot reservoir or whatever, same feeding schedule, you know what I mean? And watch them grow and then change the light cycle on one and change the one on the other and see, you know.
Yeah.
Could be fun.
You know, and I don't even mess with light cycle itself. I'm just like turning back the intensity of it, like because I don't know, just when you think about like the
I've been
sun in
messing around a little
October
bit with
less strong.
13-hour light cycles, you know, trying to
At
get
the
as much.
last week, pushing
No,
a
like
couple,
the whole time.
just sneak in an extra hour of
Yep.
photosynthesis.
Yep.
I mean, technically anything under 14 is
It's interesting.
okay.
I mean, you know, there's different mindsets. You know, like I grow for myself. Like I grow for my wife to make delicious gummies with, and like to smoke like a head stash of
You have
just
been on a gummy kick lately, that's for sure.
exotic weed. And I just everything I do is from the mindset of like best expression, highest terpene content, like all that stuff. Like that's within reason, like within my ability to control. And I've never once like thought about something of like, well, I could just eke out like another like couple extra grams out of these lowers here if I do this, or I don't know.
You see, I've never really noticed any degradation in giving more light at the end of a plant's life cycle. I've only noticed benefits in getting more harvest weight. So, like at the end of the day, I want to smoke good weed, and if I thought that it was fucking me up in that way, I wouldn't do it. You know.
So
Like at the end of the day, you want the best smoke possible. You know, and who's to even fucking say if what I do or what you do have any effect at all? You know, we could just be, you know, we think we're fucking God.
Spinning like rats like running in a wheel.
Yeah, you know, like the science really has to be done. Somebody has to do a side by side with the different variables. You know, real scientific study. I've seen some people come close with certain things, but there's always like something that doesn't make it scientific. Like, oh, you know, it's this one is, you know, they're not getting like the same amount of light. Like one, they're under a light, but not the same position or whatever. Like, you know, like, look, I'd love to. I could be honest with you, I don't have the fucking time or the space to really set up something like that. But I'd love to see it, you know.
Me too.
It'd be fucking wild.
Me too. So, all right, here's a question for you. And just like in a bud that has more biomass, would you anticipate that the level of terpenes in each the terpene percentage would have to go down, correct? If you're like expanding the bud at a certain point, like the terps just can't keep up. It's going to be diluted. You know what I mean? If you have like an overly swollen bud.
Not necessarily.
Does that make any sense?
I mean, like, I guess in some ways, but like in a lot of that's genetics based and obviously how you grow too, like your skill as a grower. You know, being able to bring out terpene expressions. I don't know. You know, I don't think I've ever really thought of it like that. You know, I've noticed that like certain strains that like
I've just always found that like G3 said it on a. I'm sorry to cut you. Like G3 said it on a show not long ago that sometimes my favorite buds in the whole jar are the small ones. You know what I mean? Like.
I have not noticed this much. Like certain strains,
they taste better a lot of times. They just have less biomass and more terpene like packed in each bit of it.
Think of it. How do the terpenes ripen? Okay, a lot of that is exposure to light and time. If you have a giant bud, there's only so much surface area there. A lot of that biomass is on the inside, and so all of the terpenes that are covering the buds on the inside that are not exposed to the light will not be as ripe and probably won't have the same THC percentage.
Possibly.
True. Very
I've
true. Or
noticed it's strain dependent. Like you have certain strains that will really push the envelope with like, grams per watt, and they may not necessarily be the best smoke. Like sometimes you get those ones that with like the nice, chunky buds, maybe some golf ball structure, and you know what you're getting with that, like an OG base, something that's gonna like really like hit you good. So I don't know. I would say it's kind of strain dependent.
yeah,
Like
it is.
the prayer glue pushes really big, huge fucking nugs, and that's super terpy. Lemon
Super
Carver is
derpy.
more of like a medium base. It's not the biggest yielder, but it yields pretty well. It
You
stays
know,
on the shorter side, so it's more indica dominant. But like it
definitely
kind of,
genetics based.
yeah, it really is genetics based. I think. And two, if you push, I've seen some kind of like you see people with they're pushing like PGRs and shit like that to make their buds bigger and denser, and that shit will 100% degrade your THC. Just look into it. Look into the ingredient that's in those bud hardeners, and then look at it'll 100% ruin your fucking
Word.
terps. Please don't use that shit.
That's like past the point of
Yeah.
diminishing returns.
If you want a natural PGR that won't fuck your terps up, use kelp.
kelp,
And
yeah.
there's other shit out there too, but kelp's just like PGRs aren't bad. It's synthetic, like certain PGRs are terrible and they're bad, for
Well,
your plants.
It's kind of an interesting topic. The whole thing. There is a lot of bro science surrounding all of it. Like again, like this stuff hasn't been studied officially. We do have to at a certain point rely on what we've heard from our buddies and our buddies' buddies and all the lore that's been passed down from all the eons of cannabis growers. It's
Logic and research and basic biology and
Just try to be the best grower
botany
you can
and
be and follow your style. Don't change what
yeah,
works for you too. Like I was talking to somebody the other day, they're like, "Oh man, thanks for that sandwich bag tech. It worked really well for me. I was able to get clones going." I'm like, "That's fucking awesome." It's not my preferred method. Like I still love the humidity dome with the autopot setup, right? But like if you're struggling to clone, the sandwich bag method will work for you if you do it right, and it's almost foolproof. So I'm glad that it helps. Some people get some shit going because cloning's hard for a lot of people.
yeah.
They struggle with it.
Amen. You know what I genuinely believe is that your plants like respond to your vibes and your like
1,000,000,000%.
your intent to a certain extent as well. And yeah, it's just like I don't quite know where I was going to go with that. But just know that like your plants know what your intentions are. Better have good ones.
I think there's a lot of truth behind that. Um, you know, there's been some studies on that as well. I believe so. Look,
Yeah?
if you're just trying to like grow and you don't really care about what you're doing and you're just willy-nilly in it, like, and you're treating the plant like shit and you're kind of a dick, I think it's going to pick up on that.
Well, the best it's just like the best plants are grown with love. It's as
Get out
simple
what
as
you
that.
put in.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
You
Think of it this way. If your plants are in solitary confinement, you are literally the only other living creature it ever interacts with. If you don't think that your plants are vibing with you, you are wrong.
It's the truth.
Flat out. It has to. You have an intrinsic vibration inside your plants. You're literally feeding off of each other. So bring your best to your plants and your plants will bring it back to you. I promise.
I believe that. And it's like one thing I do try to like always, bring positive thoughts up in the garden, all that stuff. It's, never want to like project that negative energy onto your plants. So like, I don't know, in a lot of sense too, like it's, the plants that are like grown for profit and for like a greedy motive, like end up being boof, it's just like they know it. So they don't produce for those people. Like it's just like you have to unlock that certain part of your plant and only love can unlock that part.
Make your garden your happy place.
I think
Absolutely.
I think pride has a lot to do with it too. And you see some people that just kind of genuinely half-ass everything they do in life, and it'll show up in their growth. Like I have a buddy who still can't get it right after years of coaching, and like I've held his hand, and he doesn't listen to the show, otherwise he'd probably be better. But yeah, he just can't get it right, man. It's been years and years and years, and look, he started out with like blurples, right, against my advice. Then he finally got himself some nice lights. I thought that would like help him up his game, but it really kind of actually only made things worse. Yeah.
I think it's all in his motive, man. Really, like it's there's something weird about that. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, he
I've
can't
seen
stick with the style. He always is fucking doing different shit, and he can't figure out. He just he picked up this bottle. He's one of those guys. He just
always adding stuff.
Whatever, like he read online is the new hip shit. Like he'll try and you know what, I'm gonna go back to soil, or yeah, you know what, I'm gonna try rock wool, or fuck. He's done it all. And he's produced some decent flower along the way. But most of it's just fucking boof, man. It comes out just tasting like cardboard, and I know he's drying it right because I built the dry room for him, so it's not the dry. He's literally just growing boof like cardboard weed.
There is a learning curve.
Gotta help your buddy.
Every style, there is a learning curve.
I've done everything
I
can.
He's tried.
Yeah,
he's hopeless. He's a lost cause. Let him smoke the boof. At least it's something he grew himself. It's better than dispo weed, at least. Sometimes, maybe.
No, not based on that shit I got a couple weeks ago. That was pretty damn fucking good for $30 a fucking eighth.
Yeah.
I told him that too. I told him he should just give up.
If at first you don't succeed, give up and find someone to blame.
Try again, and then if you continue to not succeed, well, maybe then you might start thinking something. I continue to keep trying.
Yeah, but I'm sure you grow good weed. I haven't smoked any of your flower, but.
So let's steer the ship back a little bit on course, back to plants that are like almost ready to be harvested. Now I've heard a lot of crazy shit that people do sometimes. And maybe that all ties into just like mentality. Maybe it's just like if you think it'll work, then do it. Like if you believe it and it helps your mental state when you're in the garden, then do it.
I think there's some truth to that.
Plants respond to that. Like, I've seen people do the weirdest shit. Like, a week before harvest, I put an 8-inch butcher knife into the base of my stem. It works like a charm every time. I just push that knife right in there, like, and just it sticks out the other end. Just impale the base of my plant.
Stop! Just stop! Ugh.
You've heard of this? Have you heard
yes.
of this?
Yeah. It's brutal and awful and.
I tried this like 10 years ago. I saw no difference in the plant at all. It didn't hurt it or help it. I don't think it did anything.
It didn't hurt it.
She didn't die. She kept growing.
It's it's.
Did you die
it's just
though?
like,
that's like there is a spectrum.
But maybe in that near-death experience, they produced some compound that we can harvest and use to our benefit. It's the adrenochrome theory, okay? It's like you got to scare the shit out of your plants.
You think that's how you
right
get more
before death.
terpinolene?
Could
You
be.
scare the shit out of
Could
them.
be. We got to like torture
Fear
the
terpene.
plants. They produce adrenochrome. That's like the real cannabinoid that we want to get, you know? It's, I don't fucking know.
No, I don't want the fear terpene. I want the love terpene.
Fear Terpene. That's a show title right there. I fucking love you. Love you, G3. You have such a way with those words. But, you know, guys, like maybe, I'm just saying, in the realm of possibility, a man in a purple robe is just postulating that plants might do something you and I have no clue about if we only torture them right before death. Like they release some minor cannabinoid, something, some terpene, something extra, some special sauce. You know what I mean?
Not gonna do it.
You don't want to
No
fuck around with
way.
the fear terpene.
No, how? No.
Pussy.
Ugh.
Oh.
I'm gonna have fear.
Yeah, you know, I posted about it, plant adrenochrome, a long time ago on my page. It's like that's the reason why I turn the lights off in my tent, you know. I was joking about it back then. But there's a lot of truth in these practices. Now, maybe not so much like putting an 8-inch butcher knife in the base of your stem. But I think if we play with the variables that we're already manipulating, namely temperature, light levels, humidity, perhaps, and a minor effect, you know, like all of these things we're already playing with. Like, let's play with them more at the end of our plants' lives. Let's fuck around and find out, and maybe they will do something special.
I always drop my temps in flower last week to 10 days.
Yeah, always. Yeah,
Always.
It's just you're getting them ready for that cure, man. You're locking in those, like, you know, we don't want anything to volatilize off.
I'm glad you used that word because terpenes are very volatile and they will start to degrade at higher temperatures. You definitely, you know, look, when we look at our plants and we say, oh, we're going to push these another 7 to 10 days, right? We're trying to get the most out of them, to get those trichromes to perfection. And you will start to degrade some of that shit at higher temps. So drop your temps. However you want to achieve that, just drop your temps.
Yep, for sure. I think this time of year, you know, all my temps are kind of dependent on the light levels, and that's why just simply turning them down, real easy way to do that. Yeah, it mimics the fall, like we were saying too. But at the very end, I always give them at least 24 hours of darkness. It's an old practice, an old, you know, and I don't think 24 hours is even necessary. I think you could get away with 12, 6 hours perhaps of darkness. Let's say you're growing autos, 24 hours of light.
You definitely don't want to be harvesting during the light period, though. You want to be harvesting in the dark.
Exactly.
And I don't mean shut your lights off after a cycle and harvest. I mean, like, before the lights come on, harvest them bitches.
Kill them in their sleep.
At least a few hours in too.
And it's gonna it's gonna stink.
Yeah, make sure they're in a deep sleep. not like right after they fall asleep. Like wait till they're least expecting it.
I use the Sawzall. They just come right down like 2 seconds. Buzz.
You got an electric tool to do it?
Yeah, just use the Sawzall, man. It's so easy. Yeah. Two fucking presses of a button and they're down. Get the nice coarse blade meant for wood, because that at that point that's basically what they are. And you just and I've used the oscillating tool before, multi-tool. You ever seen those with the fucking blade? Just like you can
Yep.
cut out drywall and shit with them. Yeah, I've used the Cindy Loppers.
Yeah, those are my
That,
favorite.
you know, yep.
Oversized hedge trimmers. The best. So, you know, like we've talked about a couple things with our plants. What are you like? This time of the grow. My mind is swirling about my next grow.
Yeah, really, you should be prepping. Your next grow should theoretically be starting just before or right after your current grow comes down.
You can certainly, let's say you're an auto guy, you have one tent, it's a pretty full canopy. You don't need that much light to pop seeds.
No, they don't want that much
Yeah.
light. In fact, it's better for them to be slightly under the canopy. A little cooler down there,
Mm-hmm.
little less light, not quite as intense.
Look, and
Let them grow up kind of in the nursery.
you could build a little tiny fucking seed starting area out of a cardboard box and an LED garage light. I'm telling you, it isn't that complicated. People say they don't have the space for this shit. It's really easy to fucking pop seeds. They don't need a lot of light for the first like week. You know, you can
Not
just,
at all.
you know,
Even auto pots have to be hand watered. Most SIP systems, you have to hand water them for the first couple of weeks anyway. So you can really take your plants down, flip your tent, and then get your next round in and turn the auto pots right on if you have them already started for the
If
first
they're
couple
already
of weeks.
established, yeah. Well, I always do, like, even if I'm doing a transplant G3, I always give them like a couple days after I don't like turn the system on right away ever after any kind of
We'll let them
transplant.
acclimate to the environment a
Few
little
days.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then turn it on. But, otherwise you're losing multiple weeks for no reason.
Yeah, no, there's no reason not to get a head start on your next grow. Even if you're not like thinking you're a perpetual grower, like that wasn't your intent of, like, why are you wasting time? I don't know. It's like there's got to be a little spot of light reaching the bottom of your tent, like little.
Yeah.
Put them in a solo cup. Start them out in a dual stacked solo cup. Do that method for first week and a half. It buys you a little time. Get your old plants out of the tent, reset, clean. It gives you all that time.
100%.
While
100%.
not to mention the time it takes for your seeds to pop. Sometimes that takes longer than we'd like, doesn't it?
With a little bit of planning, you could easily get an extra harvest per year if you do it right, if not more.
Dude, absolutely.
And then, like, something I wanted to talk about real quick too is like you have certain strains, like I forget who was talking about it, forgive me, but they were talking about they had some shit that was flowering in 45 days. Like there was one strain from 2020 called, what was it, Bisquick or something? Fucking some shit. 45 days.
Bisquick.
I don't know. 45 days, dude. That's fucking wild. I gotta see this shit. Finish in 45 days. That's.
I bet you all that's coming, man. I heard something crazy today that like autoflowers have been testing consistently higher in both THC and terpene percentage than their photo period like parents. Like the autoflower version of the plant in a lot of cases will test higher and better. It was on Dude Grows just today, their most recent
I'm
podcast.
gonna go really good for that.
I was like, I was
I'd love to know what his
a little
sources are
skeptical,
for
but
that.
the man sounded like certainly convinced. He had the paperwork, but shit, I haven't seen it.
Oh,
Maybe
I
I shouldn't
love me
be
some
propagating
paperwork.
that yet. As if he had the testing himself and was looking
Was
at
it
it. You know what
Scott
I mean?
from Herb's Hair Now?
No, it was not. It was not.
Oh.
Maybe it was Colin from Ethos was on, but I don't think it was him that was talking. Anyway, guys, my next grow, right? I always reset, do a full reset. You know, I'm not one of these guys that does a no-till method. I don't think that's even doable in auto pots. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, like a note, you know what that is? Where you like...
No-till only works in big beds, really.
I've seen people do it with earth boxes.
You need some volume to do that.
So, like, if you could do it in an earth box, you could probably pull it off with autopod setup, like aqua valve, something or other. But I don't think it's ideal. Big ones,
but not
because you eventually have to you're not supposed to dig up the soil at all. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the mycelium network that's already established. Like you want to utilize that to your advantage, and
I don't know. I think it's a little fucking ridiculous.
Re-amend from the top, and like that's like the build a soil way, right? Is what like they do like this no-till gardening, and it works great in like a big bed of soil, like a 3x3 bed. 4x4 bed.
I think it's really hard to do
for the
average home grower.
Oh, like you know how heavy a fucking 3x3 bed of soil is?
Because you can't really do it in pot, like you're saying. You're not going to be able to do it in pots.
Yeah,
I think Mr. Johnny Apple does no-till.
Yeah.
So I heard it today, and I actually have it up here because I was watching it right before the show. I'm going to bring it up because I thought I heard an interesting question. And everyone loves little build-a-soil video, right? He's the man. Let me get rid of this real quick. Present. We'll bring him up, and... Can we hear him?
Truth. Do you expect...
Can you hear him?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
To be able to reuse the AutoPot XXL fabric pot for multiple runs? Or would re-amending between runs also involve a new fabric pot? Thanks for your dedication to this channel and making the living soil way convenient. You're welcome. And Truth, I would say I would totally reuse the AutoPot XXL multiple times if I wanted to. I would treat this as a build-a-soil classic method. That size is good enough to no-till, in my opinion. And so when you do the top dressing, the Build-A-Soil Lite and 3.0, they're gonna wick all the way to the top, no problem. And because of that, they'll keep your top dressing moist. You can build a little bit of mulch layer on there. When you harvest your plant, all you have to do is cut out with a knife or wiggle loose if it's been sitting a while, that main stalk. And you don't really have to pull it out. It's just that that's where your next plant needs to go. And so don't worry about it. Dig out a little bit, put your next plant in there, and I would just rock it. And eventually it's gonna work really well because it'll get clean water from down below, just like in the...
I disagree entirely.
I don't think you have a big enough scavenger system working it with that size.
I think
it needs to be bigger.
Have you seen what the root ball of an autopot plant looks like?
Yes,
there's like literally
surprising.
Like there's like no soil. It's all roots. You know what I mean? Like how is another plant supposed to grow through that like solid mass of roots that exists in an autopot?
And you don't have enough microbes and mycelium really to break it down efficiently in enough time for another plant to grow.
I don't know if you're doing no-till, aren't you going to have some worms and shit in there too? I don't know. I bet you could pull it off.
I don't know.
I guess if you have worms and you use some
roots like that in that space.
But like no, I think he's underestimating what an autopot, specifically an autopot root ball, will look like. It is not the same as like what a root mass will look like in a big 3x3 bed of soil.
So is he going to be doing it, or is he just
he has his plants in autopots right now, the XXLs, the same ones as me. And the question was like, can you just literally pull the stem out and plant a new seed?
Does he have the
or do you have
the big fabric pots or the plastic pots? Because the big fabric ones are like 13-gallon or some shit like that.
I believe he is doing the 13 gal. right?
Okay.
So that is a little bigger than mine, which are the 9 gallons. But I still don't know if that's a really good idea. I don't know. Like
It's funny you mentioned this.
I just
remember that
I do a
Odin
full
Sons,
reset.
That Odin Sons midget I told you about. It didn't. It was stunted in the 13-gallon cocoa fabric pot. I just planted a Tino strawberries in there, and that's actually doing quite well. In the same pot. Now, granted, the plant obviously didn't get that big. It was a midget plant, basically. So, like, sorry if I'm offending anybody with the midget term.
It was a short plant.
It was a little person plant,
Vertically challenged.
Yeah, it like I haven't seen any issues yet. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it could be done. Maybe if you're like kind of like planning on the opposite side, but I definitely don't think it's ideal. Like you said, man, you pull out the fucking autopot plants after, and that root mass is
it's just a
giant.
Big mass of solid roots. Like, and dude, like mine are. It doesn't matter. I put 2 layers of that copper like root thing at the bottom of my pots, and they're still growing out into the tray.
Yeah,
like trying to get that aqua valve.
Yeah, they're
like,
smart. Them roots are smart.
Like, keep it open. What do you want?
Dude, it's so true.
They know what they're after. Man, it's wild, but like no, I don't think like no-till would work in auto pots. I don't think he's accustomed to the autopot system. He's used to more of a living soil thing.
We'll find out, won't we?
He's gonna fuck around and find out.
Yeah, you know.
Interesting. Get to watch because he's pretty transparent. I think if it doesn't work out, you'll still see the results.
Yeah. I would think so.
For sure. Absolutely.
Now, does he have worms in there?
I think, yeah, dude, he does the full, like he said, he treats those big Autopot XXLs as like a living soil bed. And he does the full, you know, he literally does this, I mean, same thing that I do. Turns off the system, top feeds with like any kind of additional nutrients that he doesn't run that through the lines, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Same things we discuss on this show. Guys, watch a build a soil video. Watch him put them into practice.
Really, to see like at what size it's really possible. It's possible to do it in 13 gallons.
Yeah,
we know it's possible to do it in larger
maybe that
beds.
Extra 4 is all you need.
Is that possible? Doubtful but hopeful.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. We'll see. Best of luck to him.
Right.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see how things go for him, really.
But yeah, I love Jeremy. Man, if he ever sees this somehow and wants to come on the show and talk about his results, I would love for that to happen. Shit. But while we're thinking about soil, it's also a thing that I'm kind of getting ready for my next round at this point in my current grow. I'm a reuse, recycle, waste not, want not sort of dude, and it's like I've said, I have root balls. Sometimes that'll sit, like literally just sit for months, and then I break them up, throw out the skeleton, break them all up, try to rehydrate, re-amend, and just bring that soil back to life. And that takes a little bit of time.
I have 4 from where I'm sitting right now. I can see
full plant skeletons with root ball.
4. Yeah. Yep.
Now, what do you do with your?
It's because it's
balls?
cold outside right now. Normally, I'll take everything outside and I'll break it all up and I'll add it to my garden.
Okay.
But it's cold right now. So
it's fun to
they're
burn
just going to
them, too.
sit in the closet until, or I guess in the grow space, really, until it gets warmer.
So you bring in your, the soil you've used in your garden, then gets brought outside, used in your vegetables.
Yep.
Outdoor plants, that kind of stuff. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. But so you're always buying new bags of soil?
I know it's not really a great or sustainable practice, but honestly, I just don't have the wherewithal right now to deal with
I feel you.
the whole reduce, reuse, recycle soil process.
Well, at least
I'll
you're
tell
not
you
throwing
this
it
though,
out.
G3. I'll tell you this: like, if you are saving like root balls like that, you're one step away from just putting that stuff right back into practice and getting like sometimes even better results the next time.
Yeah. I tried it once and I had not great results. And I'm not sure where I went wrong, and I just like
Soil
it's not
can
in
be
me right now to find out. So,
tricky
like,
thing.
yes, I'll probably do something like that in the future. Maybe the next grow. Maybe I'll keep these, or the mangoes that are coming down. Who knows? We'll see. Always learning.
It's never a bad idea to get like even I will go out and get a fresh bag of Happy Frog or Coast of Maine. Like you gotta add back to even your reuse stuff sometimes.
If you're using it in the veggie garden, it's not the end of the world either.
I happen to get my soil from like this super cute garden center that's owned by a little family, and I have known all of them for a couple of years. So like,
Nice.
I know that money is going to cause if they're going to save me some time and effort, and I can help out their family. Okay, awesome.
I think I know the one you're talking about. I just got an email from them today.
Sure, they don't have like
They're
a
opening back
daughter.
up. Hell yeah.
They don't have like
Yep.
a daughter or son that's pillaging money for drugs. You could
Not that I
be
know
supplying the drug habit.
I should, however, bring some podcast flyers down there.
Oh yeah.
Perhaps. But one of the benefits of always like adding in a little bit of fresh soil, even to like my reused batch, one thing I always keep a very close eye on is soil texture. I think that has a lot to, I mean, that's a very important thing that people don't discuss nearly enough. Like, I like a fluffy, very light to the touch kind of mix, you know? Like,
Yeah,
even
after reusing it so many times, it just kind of gets dense, right?
it can, yeah, it can get dense and like a little compacted. I mean, if you want to make sure it's broken up, but while you're doing that too, like, if it feels dusty or like just like dirt, it's kind of like broken. It's broken down, like kind of to the point where the fibers aren't like big enough anymore. I don't know. It breaks down. It can.
There's a difference between dirt and soil, and if you're a grower, you know exactly what I mean when I say that.
Yeah, and we're talking about like potting mix too, like, you know, like, and that's the fluffiest of the fluff.
Yes.
I mean,
Like, as long as you like, and if you have soil like that, make sure you manually go through it. Put on some gloves, go through it manually. Take out any like big pieces of bark or sticks. Break up big clumps. Like, it just takes a couple of minutes. Work through your soil.
yeah, I don't like the sticks or the bark or any of that. Like I always I don't sift it or anything, but I'll, like, you know, run my hands
Just work
through
through it a little bit. Make sure it's easy. Imagine your tiny little seedling with that little root trying to grow around a stick.
Even sometimes
Do
you
yourself
get
a favor.
lumber and cocoa that you don't like.
Absolutely, yeah. Put some cocoa at the top of your medium. You know, like when you, like, one of the benefits of resetting your pots every time is we get to control the fluff level of our medium going back into the soil, right? We can like take out all those obstructions, root balls, get them out of there. We can build a soil from the base that's, like, you know, dense at the bottom, fluffy at the top. That kind of coincides with the like hot to not hot theory. You know, the denser the soil, the more compost you're probably going to have in it. So put that stuff at the bottom, and then as you work up to the top of the pot, add more and more, whether it's perlite or just cocoa. You get a brick of cocoa, and, you know, add something back in there that'll, you know, just fluff it up.
Like a little nursery.
Little fluff.
You know, you want it to be soft. Child-proof your pot.
Exactly.
Make sure there are no sharp edges. Their things are nice and soft.
I like to lay broken glass around everywhere.
Absolutely. Child-proof your pots, people. Like, you know, I think there is something to be said for, like, if it takes a seedling's taproot half a day for it to figure out, like, oh, there's a big stick here, and I need to divert the way that I'm growing to move around this thing. Guess what? You've lost half a day of growth in the most crucial part of your plant's life. Congratulations.
Wah, wah.
Yep, might as well call it now.
you have failed, and just kill your plant.
Reminds me of that video you did with Nerd Grows.
Yeah, right.
Where you're like, oh, how old is it again?
It's stunted.
Yeah.
You're fucked. Well, there's an element of truth in there, you know, like the fine line between, like, my plant is stunted or it's growing right on track where it should be. I'm just saying, you know, it's probably not a noticeable difference or slowdown, but your plant probably perceived it.
It's so easy to do your due diligence to give them the easiest, best chance possible.
Like you put
It's
like
no
baby
time at
shampoo
all.
on a toddler, right? It's like baby soil.
Yeah,
You have
don't
to have
use baby
baby
shampoo on your plants.
Maybe you want your nutrients nice and light, you know.
No
You don't
more
wanna feed them
tears,
anything
soil.
too hot. Right. No more tears, nutrients, really.
It's never cry over stunted plants again. No more tears. I think that is the key, though, is for it to be fluffy and like not dense with a lot of compost and like over neutralized, all that stuff, you know?
Yeah, I think
Keep it light.
People stunt their autos all the time, especially in the beginning. We see it all the time, man. Like these little tiny midget plants, you know, they're like, dude, my MacBook's taller than that thing. Like, what the fuck? What'd you do?
We'll do another how not to stunt your autos special coming up.
Yeah. I think people like getting cucked at this point. They tune in just to see that shit.
It's like a coach, like, you know, like a coach yelling at you after a play. You just know he's trying to bring the best out of you.
Yeah, man. We just, you know, want to see you not stunt your autos.
Just want to see you do better. We know you can.
Yeah.
We know it's in you. How do I reach these kids? You ever see that South Park?
No.
I have to write that down. I'll put that in the front of the show. I'll send it to you after we're done here, Monster.
Okay. After we're done here. Good day.
Which we do have to wrap it up, though. Unfortunately, it's like, look at that. An hour and a half has gone by, my friends.
Yeah, and I do have to.
It's crazy.
It's like a racehorse, anyway. Not gonna lie.
Before we leave, just a reminder: we just entered Mercury retrograde. So, for the next 3 weeks, please be careful with your surroundings and your glass and your communication, and just make sure everything is.
Fuck. Maybe we
make any deals if you can't for the next 3
Oh,
weeks. April 25th, I think.
Maybe we should wait to start any seeds until Mercury's
That's a negative
out of
Ghost Rider.
retrograde.
I was just talking about this with somebody the other day, like starting seeds on full moon, and it's like, listen, I'm sure that there may be some benefit to that, but I've started seeds without the full moon, and with the full moon, I have seen no difference. So, hey, real quick before we go, can you pull up a random number generator 1 through 100, and let's draw a winner for the Smoke is Common Infinity for the Patreons?
Random number generator 1 to 100. All right, I will bring it up. So we don't have any accusations of malfeasance.
We don't have to figure out the winner. We'll figure out later. We'll just have the number, and we'll we'll announce it on the Discord later.
Oh, you
They'll
don't want
probably
me to,
figure
like,
it out.
present it right here, right now? in
No,
this very
present
spot?
the number, but like I'm not gonna go through the Patreon and figure out who picked what number. That'll take.
All right, look, we'll just generate. Boom, 41.
All right, closest to 41 without going over, you just won yourself a Smokus Comet Infinity. Here it is right
Oh
here.
yeah, congrats.
I had
That's
two
cool.
of these courtesy of Mass Hydro, so make sure you shout out Mass
Thank
Hydro
you,
when you
Mass
get
Hydro.
That's
it.
very
Mass
cool.
Hydro provided these free of charge.
Very, very cool. Thank you, Mass Hydro. While we're thanking people real quick, we do have a couple new Patreons. We also have like a Patreon giveaway. It's a really
my gosh,
good time to become a
Fucking
Patreon.
right, do we have a Patreon giveaway? Holy cow.
You can still
Thanks
get
to
in
Daz.
on this. Only Patreons will be entered to win.
I got it pulled up right here, Cap.
All right, cool. Maybe you could shout them out.
Yeah, shout out to Anonymity Ape. Pretty fucking weird name. I can take it though. Shout out to Crumbs. Shout out to Chucky Puppy 420. Let's just hope you're not chucking puppies, buddy. I love you. Shout out to Opie. Shout out to Opie, and last but certainly not least, Shala. Shout out to
Thank you.
Thank
I
you
love it.
guys, all of you. And I think we have one more. I'm seeing an X Beans.
Yeah, probably. As I've mentioned before, I'm using the Patreon app, and it's complete
I know,
garbage.
it is, dude. I can't. It's so hard to tell who's supporter and who's not. But
Thank you to
thank
all of
you
our
guys.
Patreons.
Yeah, and check out. We do have a Discord where you can find all of us hanging out, talking plants pretty much all day.
Can't find the Discord, go to the website. It'll bring you right there.
When the intrusive thoughts come in at 3 a.m., I'm also there.
Yeah,
spilling my guts.
Tonight.
Yep, we have a huge Patreon giveaway. Thanks to Daz from Night Owl. He
Yeah,
sent us a
thank you,
huge
Daz.
bunch of stuff. So check out our Instagrams for information on that. On how to.
Absolutely, yeah. Way too much stuff. I had to break it up into like a lot of different. You have a really good chance to win. Like odds will be way higher than most contests, just based on statistics. So
Calendars and Funko Pops and seeds and ashtrays and oh my gosh, so
that's all you got to do is support your favorite podcast to get in and entered. That's it. Oh, and
one lucky winner is going to get feet pics from me.
that's the real prize. Are you kidding me? My Lord. But yeah, thank you guys. Both of you, of course. Everyone in the chat
pleasure as always.
who joined live. We love y'all.
I look forward to the show every week, man. Thank you.
Oh, it is a great time. It's one of the highlights of my weeks too. I don't know if that says a lot about you guys or not so much about the rest of my life, but
Look, I'm a 42-year-old married man with a child, and I work a lot, so I don't really do a whole lot these days. I look forward to doing the show, though.
well, yeah, agreed, man. Agreed. And everyone who watches, we love having you here too. So you're all part of it. All part of the fam. We love you all. And until next time.
Oh, hey, there's a lot of people that are watching this after it's aired, after we've gone live. If you want to catch the show live, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube or Twitch.
Easy as can be now.
Tuesdays.
That's right. You can troll us in the chat all throughout the show. We don't care. Trolls, people with constructive feedback, like ideas, or just flat out trolls. Come on, hang out with us. We love y'all. Not too many trolls, but shit. Till next time, guys, keep your grows clean. Clean your fucking fans for the love of God. And whatever you do, don't get caught.
Set them fans right after.